What's up, guys? Alex here from All Nerds. Welcome, bringing back the green screen. I guess we stopped using it for a while, but we're working on some sort of, I guess, a set, but it's taking forever, and we keep messing it up. Well, I keep messing it up. Now, today we're going to be talking about, as you can tell from the thumbnail and title and whatnot, Temtem v Pokemon. But, before you think that we're going to choose some kind of arbitrary person who's winning, is this the Pokemon killer? Which is the worst thing somebody can say. Pokemon is a $90 billion industry. Pokemon will be around until probably after all the millennials die. It will be around forever. So there's no such thing as a Pokemon killer. We're gonna do a rational, non-crazy, I've been reading through the subreddit, the Temtem subreddit, Twitter, stuff like that. People having these crazy opinions. For this video, I want to talk about which video game company is doing what better and worse. I want to give them both credit. I want to give Temtem credit for what they've been doing with the game, and I want to give Pokemon, I don't want to say credit, because Pokemon's kind of been getting a little complacent. Pokemon and Nintendo is kind of like the Steam of the video game world, where they made a hit, and now they're just like, alright, we're just going to do the same thing over and over again, because there's a certain level of complacency going on with Pokemon right now. So let's just jump in with the first thing we're going to be talking about is Pokemon. What are they doing better than Temtem? What have they done better than Temtem? Obviously, the designs are the first thing that comes to mind, the Pokemon designs themselves. But because they're iconic. Temtem trying to come up, and I'll give Temtem some credit with their design. They're not too bad. They're definitely different, but also not really. But then again, this is somewhat of a new thing. This is their big first, foray into gaming, like as far as the creature capture, I'm going to call it, genre. So that's something that obviously Temtem would have a very difficult time. Although I will give them credit for the pig Temtem, because of the joke when pigs fly. That's the whole thing, pig flying, okay. I mean, I'd be down with the game company making every Temtem or every creature in their game just based off of like little puns and local idioms and stuff. I mean, that alone, to me, would be pretty funny. The experience give out in the new games, I probably should have said this up top, but because I'm so unprofessional and I have a terrible outline that I wrote, we're only talking about Sword and Shield when it comes to Pokemon. We're only comparing Sword and Shield to Temtem because that's the newest version. There's so many more games. There's only one Temtem, but there's like 8 million Pokemon games. The EXP give out for Pokemon is extremely more forgiving and very kind to the gamer compared to the Temtem experience. Temtem, there's like barely any trainers to even train your Temtem with. You can get to a new town in like 10-15 minutes, and you verse like 5 trainers, and that's it. And there's another like dojo you gotta fight. To me, that's kind of frustrating. And when you're versing wild Temtem, you don't get. I mean, it's just the same thing in Pokemon. You don't get as much experience, obviously, because it's not a trained Temtem, but it is pretty frustrating that when you get stuck on a level, or if you catch a water Temtem because I'm up to the fire dojo, it is kind of frustrating that I now have so many under-leveled Temtem. I mean, it's on me for not capturing a water Temtem early on. The only option was Psypat, which is that stupid fucking duck, which drives me crazy. I mean, I think it's cute and all, but it's like, it's trying to be far-fetched, and to me, it's like, it's just not as charming of a Temtem. I'm going completely off of aesthetic-wise. The first time I play a Pokemon, or in this case, a Temtem game, I tend to catch Temtem or Pokemon that I really like. I don't go straight for stats and all that other stuff. I like to just play a game blindly. And Sword and Shield, the other biggest problem I had with it was just the new game being so short. The story, I mean, it didn't really do much. The gameplay was basically the same. The graphics, they did tweak the graphics a little bit higher because it is on a brand new system. Although it just kind of looks like, because the 3DS screen always looked like it was just dirty. And it always, like the 3DS screen, I think because of the 3D technology, the screen always looked like, it almost looked like there was some sort of distortion in front of it, or like, in the morning when you turn on your car and there's a little bit of fog. It never really looked that clean. The graphics for this game almost look like it's just the same exact graphics, but with just sharper, more rounded out. Like the Pokemon don't have like the the bits and stuff on
Jaggies.
it. Yeah,
the Jaggies.
Yeah, it's not. It's definitely cleaner, but it's not really that much of an upgrade. But to all the people that say that's a demerit to the game, I challenge you to. I challenge your notion and say, would a hyper realistic looking Pokemon not be terrifying? They always are gonna have to be cartoony. I mean, I don't understand why people can get mad at Pokemon for not, doing anything crazy with their graphics, but then be happy with something like Breath of the Wild, which Breath of the Wild went for a more simple animation, like an or anime style. You can't get if you're gonna get mad at games for doing something, you can't get you have to kind of keep it's a blank slate. You gotta have to criticize games a little bit fairly, and to be the Legend of Zelda graphic. I give more props to Link's Awakening. That's a new, better, cute style of animation, but at least it's harder. It's definitely looks a little more difficult to make. The Legend of Zelda anime, I don't want to say it was easier, but it definitely made, I guess, the game files smaller. Even a Legend of Zelda hyper-realistic looking game, I mean, do you want to see Link with, like, freckles and blemishes looking like something? It's really weird. We learned this with Jump Force. Hyper-realistic characters from anime don't always look that great. So I think we can forgive Pokemon with the graphics and stuff. The best thing that they did with the battling in this game is their Elite Four, kind of getting rid of it, where they turned it into a tournament instead. I mean, when I talk about the things that Temtem did better, you're gonna start seeing how simple things, simple updates, really could have elevated Pokemon. To me, keeping the Pokemon system the same, the battling, everything, keeping it mundane, is really like, you want to pander to kids. I get it. Every company, even companies that make rated M games, are trying to get kids to play. Borderlands being the most glaring example in the game industry. Borderlands has always been a rated M game with humor that only a 10-year-old would find enjoyable. They had some moments of levity. I'll give you that. So calm down, guys. I played it. I know it's not all poop jokes and fart jokes, but it's like 80% poop and fart jokes. Who is that for? So Pokemon is still obviously going to be one of the main big names in pandering to children, but they still act like they're pandering to us cavemen, us idiots that are from Zoolander, hitting the Mac computer with a bow and acting like cavemen. Children are not like that anymore, and I think that they could add new things without taking away from the experience. And that would actually benefit both seasoned players and new players. It's like when you go in to see Marvel. DC movies are the most PG things. Most of them, except for the obvious rated R ones. But in Avengers, they're shooting people. The only thing they're not showing is the blood. They throw people off of buildings and kill people. And it's still flooded with children. So I think we can give them a little bit more of an excuse. This isn't the 80s with satanic panic and everyone freaking out about the devil. It's not the same as it used to be. We can play, or remember Monsters, where people were like, oh, they're, no. Remember when the churches were like, Pokemon's evil because they have the name Monster in it? Yeah. I hate to say it, we're almost at a more enlightened era as we are now. Let's get some leeway, man. Kids are playing Grand Theft Auto. They could handle Pokemon being a little more difficult. You're not going to lose sales. How many times do I get cursed out by people online that sound like they are 4 years old, screaming at me, and they're beating my ass at video games? Let's make Pokemon a little bit harder. All right, I think we can do it. You won't lose sales, and you'll be happy. Trust me. And even if you lose sales, you're still gonna cry with all the yen in your face, Nintendo. You're still gonna wipe your tears if your game. Everyone was mad at this game, and it just came out that they sold 16 million copies, and everybody was mad. You can make the game a little bit harder. You can. Now let's talk about what Temtem does very well. Little things that I like. The breeding system, I love it. There's some downsides to it. There's a double thing. Some of it is not Temtem's fault. Some of it is the opportunistic thing the overarching thing that makes Temtem kind of suffer is the MMO elements that it introduced. I love the idea of a Pokemon MMO, and I love the idea that Temtem's an MMO. Love it. But there's a main reason why I stopped playing MMORPGs when I was younger. There's a real big reason. Sorry, there's like 3 big reasons why I stopped playing MMORPGs. 1, the grinding was... This game has some of the worst grinding, as I mentioned earlier with the experience. To me, versus the Temtem, why is it that when I'm fighting a level 13 Temtem, it defeats half my party? And you can't tell me to get good. You cannot say that in Pokemon or Temtem. You cannot say get good. These are games for children. They're pandering for children. So it's just weird. They just want you to make it's a sort of artificial extension for the game to make the game feel like it's longer. Yes, I understand the MMO does not want you to reach the end and then stop playing it. I know that the idea of an MMO is to keep you playing forever. But I don't think that in this example, this specific example, this is an early access game, which means it'll probably never fully technically launch. But they could just keep adding territories for a while. And then they can make you go, they can do so. Look at just like every company, and you, oh, so many comments down below if you guys watch this video. Follow what Fortnite does. Follow what Fortnite does, and your game will succeed. Fortnite is probably I agree with you, people. I hate Fortnite. I don't like playing it. I don't hate Epic because they're just a corporate entity and we live in America where we all love capitalism. So I don't mind the greedy things that they do. It's just regular everyday things for me. What I hate so much is the goddamn grinding. It's so annoying and I fucking can't stand it. I've played about 12 hours of Temtem. I bred, which again, when I didn't skip past breeding because I'm gonna bring it up again now. When you breed a Temtem, it is at level 1, but you have to train it with wild Temtem, which makes it take forever. And the main thing about this damn game that makes it fun is the breeding. I never thought that I would be playing a game like this and I would have to learn about the fertilization and sterility of little internet creatures. I did not think I'd be learning about that, but I like that system. Again, Temtem giving younger folks somewhat of the benefit of the doubt that they could understand fertilization and sterility. It's not a bad thing. It's actually a pretty cool idea. I like that idea. It's so much better. But to make this about breeding and then give us no opportunity to fight any actual trainers and have no EXP share system creates such an issue. I took down the fire gym, whatever, dojo. And all I did was go catch a bunch of water Temtem that were like level 17 or 18 and just keep bombarding with water attacks and somehow I won. But I never leveled up a Temtem and I wanted to create an Omishi, I think that's the name of a little weird shark guy. And I bred one and it came out pretty good. I had a couple of whatever the stats are good. I'm like, okay, cool. But it's level 1. That thing motherfucker to get to level 25 would need me to have it and start a new game with it in order to have all that experience. But you don't get that in this game.
So let me ask you this: what level were you? Was the enemy?
They were all like in their 20s, and I had a bunch of 17 fishes that I caught.
Wow!
And I just kept bombarding and bombarding and bombarding, and it's just the grinding to me. This game is just Pokemon MMO is an idea that I know could work, but I also know that it's going to come up with the bad things. The other MMO issue that is not Temtem's fault, sorry, Crema Games, it's not their fault, is this innate thing, this nature of people that sees something like a new game and they're like, wow, this looks cool, this looks nice. How am I going to rip people off playing it? How am I going to take advantage of people? Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, people see this game come out and they're just like, yo, I'm going to rip some kids off. They're using Discord and Reddit. Discord, they used it originally. Alamu's Corner Shop.
Yeah, that is.
Was a guy that was selling Temtem to people starting off the game. He said they could trade either coins, pens, whatever the currency is, or real money. Now, the game already barely gives you pensu as it is. So you would get to a certain point in the game anyway in order to afford it. So it's already a ripoff there. Or you end up giving this guy real money. The issue with giving real people money is, it's like when it comes to buying these kinds of things with different MMOs. I know World of Warcraft had the same issue. A bunch of games, MapleStory I played, had the same issue. Endless Online. If you ever heard of Endless Online, you know what I'm talking about, give me a like or fucking comment. That's a deep cut random reference I came up with. Where basically you can sell an account for real money, but you are better off trying to buy Girl Scout cookies from Casper because this is a non-existent person. If you're talking to somebody online, they're technically a ghost. Honestly, you know what's really funny about this? When you have your head looking straight at the camera, it looks like you have one giant eye because of the lens. Sorry. So, but you look like Cyclops. So basically, a lot of kids, I don't want to say they're dumb, but they're young, they're naive, they don't know what they're doing, like us older people. And it's probably like a 28-year-old kid in college 24-year-old kid in college that's trying to make some money. So I get the hustle, and we call it some entrepreneurship, I guess, but that's a big problem with this game already, considering it's very heavily impacted towards kids. The other issue that they have MMO-wise is, see, a lot of MMORPGs, they tend to be for adults, not because of content or anything, but because even this idea is kind of primitive. I don't remember a lot of like 10-year-olds playing like, free to play games and stuff online way back when. I remember World of Warcraft needed a subscription, so it's kind of hard for a lot of younger folks to pay for a subscription, especially back when gaming was much more vilified. Now that it's more open, I get it now why there are more kids. But there's a lot of banning going on, and I don't speak for Crema, and I'm not trying to say that this is some sort of like First Amendment thing, mostly because I'm pretty sure Crema, from what I understand, is like a Portuguese company. So they don't have a constitution like ours, so if they want to do whatever they want to do, they can do it. Sweden is just anarchy. They're godless in Sweden. So you can do whatever you want in Sweden, but Portuguese, I've been to Portugal actually because I'm half Portuguese, and it's my review for Portugal, everywhere you go smells like cow fucking shit. Everywhere smells like cow poop. So they've been banning a lot of accounts that have been saying funny things to them. One guy, I will say, said that he had identified as an attack helicopter, which I know we don't make fun of people like that. We genuinely don't. But even we can tell that was obviously a joke, especially when they're, it's definitely a joke. They shouldn't have been banned. But I think what Temtem is doing is they're definitely being progressive, which I do give them, props. Putting in the pronouns in the beginning, so you can be they, them, is one of the most benevolent versions of inclusion you can possibly have. People try to malign inclusion all the time because they think that makes the game somewhat different. This is an option, keyword option. Option, OPTION, means you don't have to do it. It's just a thing that's there that you can just ignore if you don't care for it. And it lets a lot of people that are underrepresented play a game and enjoy it and make it, I don't want to say immersive, because there's not really that much immersion in video games. You could say as much as you want, but there's not much. Only decision games like Witcher, when you make a decision and you pay for it later, that's immersive. I've never felt like when I punch someone in the face, I hit circle button. There's no immersion in that, so that idea is dumb. But it's a nice benevolent version of it. I could see people getting mad if they forced you to play it, but again, option, OPTION. You don't have to do it. Calm down. Let other folks be happy with the fucking game. That's our hot take on video games inclusion. This is benevolent. So everybody that's talking shit about it, calm down. You're just projecting. That's just what it is. So I'm going to go into some of the more little fixes with this game, little things that make the game better, which to me, it's like, you can tell that Nintendo's put us in sort of an abusive relationship, where when NPCs have proper dialogue, I feel warm inside. The world feels a lot better in Temtem because NPCs have a whole life just by some inane text that they put in there. That's how you know. It's like if you're dating a guy that barely recognizes you, and then you guys break up, and then you're in another relationship, and then the guy's like, "Hey, how's your day going?" And you're like, no one's ever asked me that. It's like, what? That's how it felt playing Temtem, because there's such little things that Nintendo was just like, no. You want better dialogue for our NPCs? No. You want starters that are not fire, water, and grass? Calm down. You want them to have different abilities instead of torrent, overgrow, or whatever the hell the fire one is? No. You have enough. You're fine. That's what Nintendo's been doing with us. And Temtem doing these little fixes, like I said, it's like you're coming out, and obviously abusive relationships are a real thing. I'm not trying to minimize them, but it kind of feels like a weird kind of dating a guy that plays a lot of these mind games. A guy or a girl, everyone plays mind games. It just felt like leaving that when you go into Temtem. So it's like, but then again, Temtem abuses you in a different way. Temtem abuses you with the grinding. So, in a way, relationships aren't perfect. And then the biggest downside to Temtem, in my mind, is the economy of the items and how I played this game last year Naruto to Boruto Shinobi Striker. I fucking hated that game. We did a gameplay video of it. You can watch it. I mean, I wasn't that great at it, but the video we did, it didn't come out too bad. I'm pretty proud of it. It's a pretty long one, but it's not a bad video. The game had so much potential, unlimited potential. But then when it launched at a $60 price point, and you're playing the game, and it's like they have an entire free to play system embedded into this game, but I paid $60. Now Temtem kind of falls into that as well. Temtem has like one currency system, which is good, but the game is just ready. Like at any point, Crema can just go and add microtransactions. I'm not knocking it. If you make a free to play game and you put in microtransactions, fine. Do you? That is perfectly fine. I paid $35 for this game. I dealt with the launch. Very frustrating. But I said, tiny company, I'm okay with it. Whatever. They were on Twitter saying, here's a link for a refund. If a company does that, respect them. Play nice, you know what I mean? But this game, what's crazy to me is how it's so easily built like a free-to-play game. It makes it seem like that was the original vision, and then they released it because they probably ran out of money making it, or they needed like some influx of cash, so they did early access. And to me, it's kind of bad, but it's kind of like, I understand you can't just change the entire game before launch. Like, I know that's like an impossible thing to do, but it does suck. I wish they had kind of stuck to one vision. That's where Pokemon succeeds. Pokemon is always a contained story, and then now with the expansion passes, which is a brand new thing, then, or actually they used to come out with like a new game pluses basically for like Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, kind of like they used to do that, but like go free to play or don't. I don't like, that's the biggest thing to me. And if you're an MMORPG, go free to play. You'll get way more people, way more eyes on there and everything. So these are the good and the bad things about Pokemon and Temtem. Now to get both of them, mostly Temtem. Right now, this is mostly, I'm not saying Temtem 1, but Temtem is definitely has such a beautiful future ahead of them if they continue to do the right thing, be communicative. That's the best way to beat any game developer right now. Just communicate. You know? Do the opposite of what Google Stadia is doing. Don't ignore everybody. Don't just ignore everybody. Communicate, which they do on Twitter. They tweet like every hour. But Temtem, to me, really did something that Mr. Kojima couldn't do. They created a sort of genre. Because Pokemon was never really a genre. I guess you could fall under RPG, but everyone's playing the same. I mean, I guess it could fall under RPG. But this is like a creature capture game. I was gonna like shorten it to creep. I couldn't figure. It just ended up sounding like you're just trying to capture pedophiles because it's a creep capture. Creature capture is just like they created a genre. I mean, I kind of think of Temtem as, what if Atlas, the company that makes Catherine and Pokemon, that make Catherine and Persona, what if Atlas, who already sort of has a system like that with the Personas in all the games, what if they were to do something like that? They could. I mean, technically, they kind of already did. You know, with the game, you can capture Personas. So I think the Temtem kind of shows some sort of value of, like, not copying a game, but just looking at what a game does and making it your own. That's just a great thing. Before this, all we got were Pokemon clones, like Ash Gray, which was a ROM you can download where somebody made the Pokemon anime into the game, and you played as Ash and went through his journey and everything. We had that, you know, back then. That was all illegal, but that's all you really had. Now with Temtem, at least there's some sort of difference and, you know, some more variety, which is good because Pokemon was monopolizing it, you know. And I know, Digimon never stood a chance. It wasn't really a creature capture game. That was, you know, they're partners and everything, but you didn't really, you know, Digimon was definitely different than Pokemon. It obviously was some sort of a ripoff, but they did do way more different with Digimon than what they did with Temtem. It completely is different. I consider them competitors, but I don't consider Digimon really copying Pokemon. There's only one trainer, and there's evolutions, but each one has like 18 million. So it's not 100% doing the same thing. Oh, you're stupid. But honestly, the biggest thing though, and I said it before, that kills me with both of these games is the experience. There's not enough experience to go around. supposed to interrupt me.
Oh, sorry. So, Alex.
That's so bad. That's so bad. You're supposed to interrupt me. The experience and how they should be able to give them different, distribution to make it better. That's when I didn't even finish my thought.
Okay.
Just say it.
So, how would you fix the experience system?
Why do you have to sound fake? You sound like an actor on a show pretending to be a bad actor.
So how would you fix the experience system in Pokemon?
There we go. Okay, here's what I would do with Pokemon. Just keep on sledding. What I would honestly, the quickest and easiest fix to Pokemon in my mind is just to give out more experience. Same with Temtem. Temtem's got 84 Temtem that you can play around with. I'm pretty sure they're currently making more because 84
Currently it's at 161, but
it is,
including the evolutions.
Okay.
So, but I guess there's about maybe 70 to 80 basic ones that you have to catch in the wild and you have to evolve into.
Yeah.
Just like Pokemon.
Okay, yeah, alright, whatever. Fuck you. Yeah. Stop interrupting. You're only just that one scripted interruption, that's it. So basically what you're supposed to do, I think that there's a possibility where we get enough experience, so that way when you go and beat the game, either Pokemon or Temtem, that you would be able to have an entire selection of Temtem or Pokemon to choose from. You could see what you can do and build kind of your own team. I like the idea that the game, you could make it a little more difficult. Make the Elite Four, don't tell us who the Elite Four is, obviously. But, play it blind and you go in and you're like, okay, I'm going to need a water one at this point. And then when you lose, you can go to your inbox or box, whatever it's called. And you can see, well, it's crate, I guess, for Temtem. They don't want to say box. But you go into your Temtem crate and you can choose from 3 different water Temtem to choose from. Something like that. So that's my personal thing. I think Temtem knocked it out of the park with a lot of things, but it's not a Pokemon killer. I read when I was going through the subreddit and what things that Greg was showing me and it's something that I truly believe in. These games can exist alongside each other. We don't have to have them compete with each other. People that are going and saying that Pokemon is better, or especially the guy that said, here's my review of Temtem and why I quit Pokemon. First of all, nobody cares. I stopped doing reviews. You want to know why I stopped doing reviews? Because nobody cares. Your review is not going to make somebody change their mind. I'm sorry. Pokemon is still very playable. It's still a viable source of fun. And it has expansions coming out. Yes, it's money, but there's still something to do with it. So that is never going away. But Temtem is doing something very great that hopefully Nintendo says, we're going to try to update some of these ideas. It's kind of like when you're presidential. When you get a bunch of candidates, by the time one of them gets the nomination, they will adopt other policies from other candidates that didn't make it, because obviously to get the other voters. But at the end of the day, isn't that good? It's a good thing. I think Nintendo can take from Temtem and be better. I think Temtem could take less from MMOs and a little bit more from Pokemon. I mean, you combine them, they make the perfect game. It's just, to me, besides the grinding, it's just, the experience is so terrible. But other than that, that was really weird. The story, I don't know I think we're going to have to cut the whole story part, because I don't want to put it into the... It's really dumb. Whatever, we'll release that separately as a not safe for work section, so don't worry about that. That'll come out soon. Because I did... Alright, I just pitched a story, a very not safe for work story of Pokemon, and I don't want to put it with this video. So stay tuned for that. Thank you for joining me for this video. We will be doing a lot more videos. We have a lot of ideas, a lot of things I want to talk about. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you like these videos. If you want me to shorten them, this was supposed to be a 15-minute video, but there's a lot to talk about. I didn't want to do I didn't want to do too long of a video, but I love Temtem and I love Pokemon. I definitely love Pokemon more, but Temtem still has more time to fix itself, and Nintendo wants to, they want to be, they're like the band that, they never got signed and they won't change their ways, and, they just don't want to do things the right way. So, it's kind of difficult. Anyway, thank you for joining me, and as always, please remember, be a nerd, not a dick, and today I'm going to add a little one. Stop ripping off children with your stupid buying and selling accounts, you little assholes. Alan knew, you get banned on Discord, and then you're on Reddit the next day trying to still rip people off. Stop spamming the chat, you dicks. This is like an MMO rant. Just fuck you guys. Stick to Worldcraft. Leave. This game's got kids playing it. It's made for kids. Don't exploit the children. Thank you for joining me. We'll talk to you guys soon.